Okay, so today we're going to speak about why we sometimes feel disturbed. The reason is because of dependency. We have certain needs and we have certain things in life that we need other people for. And if those needs aren't met, we do get into the state where we feel deeply emotionally disturbed. And we live in a society that kind of like promotes this hyper independence. And because they promote this hyper independence, people get to a place quickly where they think like, I don't need other people and I don't have needs that can only be fulfilled by other people. Now, I'm going to speak about that a bit, but I also just want to say this doesn't promote codependency. I have a lot of videos where I speak about, being a secure person, being healthy within yourself, having a good relationship with yourself, and not to be a codependent person where you become overly dependent on other people in certain areas where you have to depend on yourself. So we don't want to become a person that is extremely codependent, nor do we want to become a person that is hyper independent. So hyper codependence and hyper independence, both of them are not good thing, but what we want is a healthy interdependence. A healthy interdependence refers to being healthy within yourself, refers to being in a good place within yourself, refers to having a healthy relationship with yourself, but it also gets you to this place where you can acknowledge there are some areas in my life where I have a healthy dependency on other people because I'm not on planet Earth alone and I have needs, and these needs can only be met by people and by my relationships. And if you don't have this, there is an emotional disturbance that comes with it. So what does that mean? Feeling deeply disturbed means experiencing a strong emotional or psychological reaction to something, and it's often accompanied by a sense of discomfort, unease, or distressed, and that's the emotion that a person feels. And this emotion can be triggered by witnessing something upsetting, being confronted with a situation that challenges your beliefs, that challenges your values, or grappling with intense emotions such as fear, such as sadness, or confusion. And this can also be caused by relationships. And when somebody feels deeply disturbed, it can affect their mental state, sometimes causing anxiety, confusion. It can cause an inability to focus on other things due to this emotional impact. And it's a state where the mind and emotions are unsettled. And this can often lead to a need for reflection or resolution. And a lot of times when people feel this disturbance, and a lot of this disturbance is caused by our relationships because we do feel our needs are unmet, we get to the place where we say, listen, I don't need people, I don't want people, I don't like people. The person becomes hyper independent. And even from a young age today, some people are taught that you have to be hyper independent, which is not a good thing. We have to be interdependent. And only when we are interdependent and recognizing these things, we can deal with this emotional disturbance. So maybe it's the first time for some of you where you're going to get to a place where you say, listen, I acknowledge I need other people in my life. I even acknowledge I want other people in my life. Now more than ever, I hear people say things like, I trust nobody. But being at a place where you say, I trust nobody, isn't a healthy thing. But what happens when we get to this place of hyper independence? We kind of like deny our needs. And if we don't deny our needs, maybe we are saying we have those needs. We kind of deny that we need other people, we need human relationships to fill that need, especially, that's difficult, especially when we need another person to fulfill that need. So we all have kind of like a dependency need. Now, again, I'm not speaking about codependency. I'm speaking about interdependency. So where does this start? This starts with our caretakers, caregivers, parents, the environment we grow up in. If you look at animals, there are some animals, they get born and literally that same day, it's almost like as if they are independent and hunting already. Some animals stays with their mom or their parents for like a week or two, maybe still drinking or the mother, and then they go away. Where with human beings, they need nurturing and they need dependence from their parents for years and years and years before they go on their own. And this is why it will be very unnatural when you hear like a 6-year-old left home and they're away from their parents. That's not a natural thing. But when it comes to animals, it's a different thing. Like I said, few hours, few weeks, and they're gone, because in our caregiving years we have learned how to be dependent on others, and therefore we as human beings, we do have a dependency on the people around us, and if those needs aren't met, there is an emotional disturbance. So there are certain needs that you cannot give yourself. No matter how independent you think you are, there are things that you need from other people. And there are things that you need from others. Now, I'm just going to use a few examples, and some of these examples people might think, yes, I can give it to myself, but the thing is, you don't want to. You need people at the end of the day to do that. So some of these examples are connection. We need connection with other people. We need affection. There's trust. There's sexual needs. There's empathy. There's communication, emotional support, physical support. Spiritual support is a very important thing for many people and myself. And what happens is, if these needs are not met, then we are going to look for things outside to meet those needs. A lot of times in substances, things that can cause, for instance, addiction. A lot of times it's aggression. A person becomes extremely aggressive if these dependency and needs are not met. Some people can become emotionally ill. It has an impact on their mental health. Some people can even become suicidal. Now, this is a big thing. If people can actually become suicidal if they don't have good and healthy human relationships. So if we look at the area, and I'm going to explain now where this comes from, and we're going to look at Sigmund Freud's id, ego, and superego. Before I get there, I want to ask you to like this video, to subscribe, and share it to somebody. We're trusting to get to 1,000 subscribers, and you can help us to get there. So when we look at the id, ego, and superego that Sigmund Freud speaks about, he speaks about the id, and this is there when the child is born. You have this id, and it's a very selfish thing. The id, it's like, my needs have to be met. My needs have to be met immediately. My needs have to be met no matter what it does to other people. My needs have to be met no matter what the circumstances are. A lot of people who have little kids will know this. The kid will scream, they will yell, they will throw tantrums. They want their need met. So that's the id. It's all about me. It's all about my need. And then there's the superego. The superego, and if you're very much in the superego, this is where you become like an extreme people pleaser. The superego is, it's not about my needs whatsoever. It's all about what society expects of me. And the reason for that is we've learned that our safety is dependent on how other people view us. Meaning, if I do wrong, I get punished. I kind of like feel unsafe. So the only way I can be safe is society out there should be happy and pleased with me. So what happens then is people suppress the id, meaning they suppress their own needs. My needs are not happy anymore. And now I become kind of like this codependent person. I become this people pleaser. What Sigmund Freud said is the important thing is to get to the ego. When he spoke about the ego, this was years ago, it's not the way we see the ego today as like a negative thing, like being in your ego, being that, that selfish kind of person, that attached, controlling kind of person. We're not speaking about that. When we speak about the ego that Sigmund Freud spoke about, he spoke about this balance between the id and the superego, meaning acknowledging that I have needs, and these needs have to be met. But these needs have to be met in a societal appropriate manner. When a child grows up, the needs have to be met. Don't care what society thinks of it. Superego, it's not about me, it's all about what society thinks. But Sigmund Freud spoke about that balance. Balance is where we need to be, where we say, yes, I do want my needs met, and I do acknowledge that some of my needs can only be met in my human relationships, but I want it to be met in the right way. And this is where a lot of people make the mistake. When they have these needs that only other people can give them, they do it in a controlling, forceful manner, which is also not a good thing. But this acknowledgement of saying, I have these needs, I have these human needs, I have this dependency on other people to meet these needs is very important. And this is why a lot of people get married, and it's an important thing. It's a great thing. It's a good thing. But a lot of people, they get into marriage and they're like, but I have certain needs that this person is not meeting. And then a lot of people's like, yeah, but don't worry about that person, just meet your own needs. And that's also not a healthy thing. We actually do get married because we do acknowledge that we want this person in our life, because we have a dependency on other people in our life, and this dependency can be very very healthy. So the important questions we need to ask: why do people have trauma around their dependency needs? That's a very interesting question. Why do people have trauma around it? Because a lot of times people are taught you're not allowed to have these needs, and people kind of like feel guilty of having these needs. And I'm telling you, you shouldn't. These needs are actually a healthy thing that's placed within us. And the other question is, why do certain people feel empowered that they can meet their own needs? Like a lot of people today, like I don't need anybody. I'm independent and I can meet my own needs. Why do people feel like that? And I do believe a reason why people feel like that is because they have been depending on other people. These people let them down. They broke their trust. They even hurt them emotionally. So a person can understand why people feel that way. But the important thing here is to get healing and to get to a place where you can say, listen, healthy relationships is important. No matter what happened in the past, I need to forgive, I need to heal so that I can get to a place again where I can trust, where I can connect with people. So what do people struggle with the most in this area? It's emotional dependency, because a lot of time emotionally we feel out of control if we don't have people around us. It is necessary for us to get to a place where we can talk to somebody, connect with somebody, share with somebody. It's an emotional need that we all have. And the only thing that I wanted to say today, these needs are not evil, bad needs. They are good needs, they are important needs, and it's okay to say, listen, I need people in my life to fulfill these needs. We just don't want to go into the extremes of codependency or independency, but we have to get to a place of healthy interdependency. Well, thank you so much from Mind Prosperity. We love you, and we are excited to see you guys soon again. Goodbye.